Telling stories and singing songs is also your job description as church. It's what we do when we get together. We tell stories and we sing songs. So for our picnic, I am combining two songs that are also stories. The first song is by Don Francisco, and it tells the story of the first Easter Sunday from the viewpoint of the Apostle Peter, Jesus' closest friend. The second song is one I wrote, and it's about my experience in Central America in 1988. I was part of a church delegation from the Diocese of Chicago, and we visited church people who were caught in the middle of the dirty little wars that were going on in Central America at that time. Now, I've never been to Israel, never been to the Holy Land, but I felt like I was in ancient Palestine on that trip to El Salvador. It felt like at any minute, Jesus could come walking down one of those dusty roads with 12 raggedy disciples tagging along behind him. The church people we met down there were extremely poor, but they were extremely generous, and they were full of faith. Now, in the Episcopal Church, in the service of baptism, there's this question: will you seek and serve Christ in all persons? And more than any other time in my life, on that pilgrimage in 1988, I got that. I felt like in 1988, I saw Jesus hidden in the faces of the poor people I encountered in El Salvador. So here are the two songs and the two stories. The story of the first Easter and the story of Jesus walking around in our world today. The gates and doors were barred, and all the windows fastened down. I spent the night in sleeplessness and rose at every sound, half in fear of the darkness, half in fear the day would find the soldiers breaking through to drag us all away. Just before the sunrise, I heard something at the wall. The gate began to rattle, and a voice began to call. I hurried to the window and looked down to the street, expecting swords and torches and the sound of soldiers' feet. But there was no one there but Mary, so I went down to let her in. John stood there beside me as she told us where she'd been. She said, they've moved him in the night, none of us knows where. The stone's been rolled away, and now his body is not there. So we both ran for the garden, and then John ran on ahead. We found the stone and the empty tomb just the way that Mary said. But the winding sheet they'd wrapped him in was just an empty shell. And how or where they'd taken him was more than I could tell. Well, something strange had happened there, just what I did not know. John believed a miracle, but I just turned to go. Circumstance and speculation could not lift me very high, 'cause I'd seen them crucify him, then I saw him die. Back inside the house again, my guilt and anguish came. Everything I'd promised him just added to my shame. When at last it came to choices, I denied I knew his name. So even if he was alive, it would not be the same. Suddenly the air was filled with a strange and sweet perfume. Light that shone from everywhere drove shadows from the room. Jesus stood before me with his arms held open wide. And I fell down on my knees to him, and I clung to him and cried. He raised me to my feet, and as I looked into his eyes, love was shining out from them like sunlight from the skies. Guilt and my confusion disappeared in sweet release. And every fear I'd ever had melted into peace. He's alive, he's alive, he's alive, and I'm forgiven. Heaven's gates are open wide. He's alive, he's alive, he's alive, and I'm forgiven. Heaven's gates are open wide. He's alive. And here's my story from 1988. Jesus, we see you in the eyes of your poor. You still walk the dusty hills and live close to the land, hidden from the ones who own the guns and wars and lies. Your suffering continues and the nail still wounds your hand. Lord, have mercy. Christ, have mercy. Lord, have mercy on us all. There you are, a young boy with 2 bullets in his legs. Or there you are, a mother who has lost all of her sons. The homeless and the hungry and the hopeless and the sick. Jesus, we can always see you in these precious ones. Lord, have mercy. Christ, have mercy. Lord, have mercy on us all. The troubles of your people fill your heart with grief and love. We can see your suffering that pierces like a knife. Give us hope that pain and death are not the only truth. Jesus, friend and brother, show your resurrection life. Lord, have mercy. Christ, have mercy. Lord, have mercy on us all. Have mercy on us all. He is alive and he still walks around today. Amen. And now we're going to continue with the Eucharist. And for this, I think it would